Hello again. My name is Jana and I'm a doula with Yama Mamas, and I am here to tell you today about what is a birth plan and how to write it. So first of all, I want to explain that I prefer to call this a birth preference plan. That's really what it is, because we cannot plan birth. And what happens is people get conflicted about the idea of making a birth plan, and it becomes this drama thing when it doesn't need to be. All it is you knowing what you want in your birth and communicating that. So that's what a birth plan is. It's your birth preferences. So for a birth preference plan, you are able to write out what your desires and preferences are and make decisions for yourself and your baby before and during labor and birth. My recommendations, I have several tips here on how to write that out, and those include keeping it short. So that means one page. I think of it as like a resume. When you write a resume, you want it to be brief so that people can read it quickly. So think of it like that, like a one-page resume of your preferences. Secondly, you want to use bullet points because you want it to be easy to read, so that when you give it to someone, especially for labor and birth, because you can communicate your birth preferences more lengthy before birth, but during the labor and birth, if you're going to hand this to someone to communicate with them your desires in birth, you want it to be easy and quick to read. Because the nurses and the doctors and the midwives, they don't have an hour to read through your birth preferences. So they're going to glance through it, they're going to get out the main points and understand what you want, and they're going to help you to do that. So one page, keep it short, use bullet points, easy to read. Keep the language positive. So this is important because you want to avoid telling your medical professionals, nurses, doctors, midwives, whoever they are, you want to avoid telling them or making them feel that you're telling them how to do their job. So this is important because these people are taking care of you in your labor and birth, and so you want to be kind, you want to build a relationship with them, and you want them to feel like they want to help you to get your preferences and desires too. And so by communicating with positive language, you can build that trust and relationship that you are simply sharing what you want. And they want, doctors and nurses and midwives, they are service oriented, so they want you to get what you want. So they're going to try to do that if you communicate that with them. So next, only address what is most important to you. So you don't want to go on and on about, what foods you want to eat and how exactly you want the environment to be and decorations and stuff like that. You only want to communicate what's important to you and what's important for your care providers to know. Now, with a doula or your other support team who's not your medical care provider, you can talk to them about more the things you want as far as environment, maybe clothes you want to wear, specifically in home birth, what sheets you want on the bed and stuff like that. You can talk to your husband, your partner, your mom, your doula, whoever that is, about those details. Those are important too. But as far as like writing it on a birth plan and communicating that to your care provider, you just want to address the most important things. And that's a way to keep it short too. Also, I encourage my clients to include a personal bio. This again is because you want that personal connection with your care providers, since they are with you for this really important, intimate experience. And you want to connect with them and you want them to feel happy. You want to be kind to them and make sure that this is their everyday job and that they are happy to serve you. So I'll even encourage my clients to bring some little thank you candies with you to labor and just give it to them. This is just a way to help your care providers feel like, man, I want this woman to get her desires. I want her to have her, vaginal natural birth after a cesarean. I want her to have, to get through this without an epidural, or I want her to get that epidural, when she's 7 centimeters because that's what she wants. Whatever your preference is, if you do that with kindness and express who you are as a person, I love running 10 miles every day, and I'm so excited this is my first baby, and I really want to have a natural birth. Something like that, where you're personally describing a little bit about you and helping them connect with you as a person. That's really going to help you out. It's just a benefit to you. So lastly, you should include your goal and your understanding of the unknowns. This is just a great way to communicate that your primary goal. So for some women, their primary goal is a vaginal birth. They just don't want a cesarean at all costs, and so they're going to do whatever they can to get that and above, any other preference. Another person, it might be they just want to have a positive experience, and maybe they're having a planned cesarean, but they want it to be really calm and peaceful and all of these things because maybe a previous traumatic experience. So whatever it is, your primary goal, or if it's an unmedicated birth, that's your primary goal above all else. So you just need to communicate that so people know what you're working for. Or a water birth, some people, that's their primary goal, is they want to birth in water, and that's helpful to know. So in the moment we can be like, oh, do you want to get in the water? And so if that's really important to you, make sure you communicate that. And it's important that you show that you understand that you can't control everything. So even if your goal is a water birth and something happens and it just is not a good idea to birth in the water, that you're okay with that. And so that's part of that letting go that I talked about in my other video. That's really important to express in writing and communicate with your team and to yourself, that this is your primary goal, but you understand that you can't control everything around your labor and your birth, and so you are you're holding that goal and objective openly, knowing that ultimately your goal is to have a healthy baby and a healthy mom. However, you can still have other goals and preferences, and it's important to communicate those. You just got to hold them openly, knowing that you don't know what's going to happen in the moment, and that you accept what's going to happen in the moment. So there you go. That's how you write your birth preferences. I very much encourage you to write your birth preferences. It's important for your team to know what you want. It's important for you, most of all, to know what you want for your birth, regardless of if you get it or not. And I hope this empowers you to have the beautiful birth that you desire. And let me know if you have any other thoughts and questions in the comments below. Thank you. Bye.